Yes, so that's one referencing. The other referencing is, as I come back to frequently, the quantum dimension, that simultaneously what appears as a particle is actually non-particle. So the components of this appear as particle, but in actual fact it is simultaneously taking on the appearance of a state and is wave and coalescence. So within wave and coalescence, it is every possible state at the same time. Hence why at the quantum level, the cat is literally both alive and dead.
Yeah, so at the quantum level, that's...
At the quantum level, it both exists and does not exist.
Yes, because that's reflected in when people look at the very small, they see the coming and going of very small particles.
Yes. And in actual fact, that's what one calls the aura. One
really?
refers
Okay.
to, yeah,
that
one
refers
refers to as the aura and the activity of the chakras. That is actually the vibrational light field of appearance and disappearance, what I refer to as the implicit and explicit interplay. Implicit being coalescent, undefined field. Explicit being the appearance of defined field.
Okay, so
the coalescent field behaves as if it takes on distinction. So the aura is actually literally that.
So it's kind of disappearing?
Appearance, disappearance,
right,
appearance,
yeah.
disappearance, appearance, disappearance. What appears as the body is the densest vibration of a recurring pattern of appearance, disappearance, appearance, disappearance. But in actual fact, what you call the gross body is simply the slowest end of that spectrum. It is still coming and going.
Yeah, like a television
Everything is
transmission.
coming and going, every single instant.
So with the cat, right, I'm more interested in the cat, to be honest. Well, you have answered that pretty well. Say we got the situation where we're looking at the cat. The mind says it's not sure. It can't be sure either or whether the cat's going to be in there. But what if, like this is something I spoke to you about today, the heart has insight into what's in the future. So it can sort of sense with certainty before the mind what's actually going to occur. So what's is that just a deeper level of knowingness?
Yeah, and it's a deeper vibration of the perceptive field anyway, a selective perceptive field, because actually still, even if the heart supposedly knows, let's say the version is the cat is alive, still the version that the cat is dead is coexisting simply in a parallel universe that one's identified self does not recognise because you've tuned into the station the cat is alive.
Right, so it's
but actually in the same space, the station the cat is dead is coexisting.
So an individual heart really can't grasp all, it doesn't have, it's not really at that level. Again, it's another deeper level.
Yeah, consciousness is the dimension in which one encounters and is the knowingness of all coexisting realities.
Yeah.
Consciousness.
Okay, so that's deeper than, say, the individual heart's
Absolutely.
intuitive abilities.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, great.
However, the appearing individual heart intelligence can recognise, can be a referencer for that deeper consciousness. So for example, you could all sit there and say, well, how is it possible then that you actually really are the experience, Isira, if you're actually describing it and the individual itself can't be that? Because I am consciousness with a body. I am not fixated at the level that I am the body with consciousness. Does that make sense?
I'm just trying to get my head around it.
So the primary state of most people is the fixated, tuned into the radio station, me body, this person. Okay? So because you're tuned into that station, your perceptive field is confined to that station. I am, for want of a better term, actually tuned into the entire radio. All stations exist within the radio.
Okay, so do we keep tuning into hang on, do we keep tuning into the station which says you're here as in a body? What's going on there?
You're still tuned into, as I said, your perceptual field primarily is tuned into the station me, body.
Yeah.
Consciousness is what's creating it all. And so your primary perception or experience is related to the manifestation, your primary perception. Okay, there are, absolutely, of course, there are states and moments where your tuning expands and loosens a bit so that you do sense and encounter different dimensional aspects.
Yes. No, this relates to something you were talking when you in one of your messages, Facebook messages. I think you were talking about our ability to sense other states
beyond the senses.
Yeah.
Yeah. That there are realities and universes way beyond our senses.
So I've thought about that over the week, and it sort of got me thinking, like, one of your primary practices is to focus on the senses into kind of awaken them to their highest potential.
Absolutely, and I'll tell you why. Why is because when you think you're trying to project beyond your senses, you are not centered in the now. Your body and your senses are actually the gateway within the now that allows you to experience beyond them. There's the irony. Everyone's trying to project into something else, but in actual fact, if you are utterly present to your sensory state, you actually draw very, very deeply into a holistic state, a whole state. You draw very deeply into the ground of beingness itself, and that actually is boundless. So even though we can say we describe the senses as having certain boundaries and a limited range of perception, in actual fact, we can transcend those boundaries by entering into them.
Right. So where does the witness fit in to the Sakshi stuff?
Because when you are really deeply in the now, the beingness, the ground of being, you are the awareness, you are the consciousness. That is Sakshi, that is that witnessing self.
So is that a sense beneath the senses, would you say? Could it be?
It's a state.
A state beneath the senses.
Beneath and within and beyond the senses.
Right. And it's you kind of get to that point after having become really present to the senses.
Yeah. Yeah, and this is why I really pointed this out, because most people are pursuing this this erroneous idea that you have to project into some other type of dimension or state, and actually that's not real. You are this vibrational field. And if you are non-attentive to this vibrational field, you actually cannot connect with the source.
Yeah, well...
So the source isn't something outside of you, beyond what you are. It is arising from within what you are.
Yeah, it has to be in everything. It was kind of something I found on the retreat. I'd literally just was in the meditation and I saw the eyes suddenly go. There was this like attachment to my eyes. And then suddenly they went. Mm-hmm. And then there was a deeper witnessing of just them seeing.
Yes.
Like as if beneath the senses there's another thing which is watching it.
Yes. Absolutely.
That occurred to me on the retreat, which was it was a great experience. But
I know it tipped you into hilarious.
Yeah. Let's try and do it
wonder.
Again. Okay, that makes sense. And I think you've already told me before with the witnessing of beneath the senses, like the Sakshi, that even is eliminated again, and you just become, there'd be no A or B.
There just is beingness.
There's no A watching B, because it's all,
it is all the same being, all the same self.
So that's kind of a pathway, the progression you go through.
Yeah, and this is why I said it's really important that one does not take on this notion that invalidating the senses or invalidating the appearance of the individual, because it is an aspect of that same whole being.
Yeah.
So if one goes about invalidating this aspect of being, you actually cannot be awake to the allness anyway.
Yeah, because it's part of the all.
Right.
It has to be there.
Yeah,
You'd be blocking it out.
right, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
That was good. That was
As
really
within,
informative.
so without.
Yeah.
The microcosm and the macrocosm are the same being.
Yes. Just to reiterate about the book, a few of us were getting together and working through some of the practices in a kind of,
Yeah, great.
Sangha way last year. So we're going to use it that way.
Fantastic.
Think we'll progress through it.
And I've encouraged you all for years that the value of you experiencing, this community, that there is a community of like-minded beings that you can connect with and share your process, deepen and expand and enrich your self-discovery, your journey of transformation and awakening, etc. It's an incredible gift. Like so many of you, you've all had the same experience through life where you feel somewhat out of place with the general population, right? Pretty well, most people who are reawakening and re-encountering this deeper sense of truth start to feel quite alone, start to feel very different from the general population, right? So don't underestimate the incredible value that's sitting here, even just in this room, the opportunity to connect with others and to share with others the richness of expressing authenticity, sharing together authenticity, enlivening authenticity, because this is what it's about. It really is about saying yes to a much deeper, truer connection with yourself and with people, society. Because it doesn't happen in isolation. It doesn't. Enlightenment is not an isolated event. It is a collective phenomenon.